Hey everybody, Steve Fretzin here, and thanks for coming to the Be That Lawyer podcast. This is the show where you're going to learn how to be that lawyer, confident, organized, and a skilled rainmaker. I want you to have some fun. I think, things are stressful. I'm watching the news. I want to put my head through a wall. And I just think it's good to just decompress, listen to a fun podcast, learn something, and know that you can kind of drift away for a little bit. So that's what we're going to do today. I've got Lee waiting in the wings, and we're gonna have some fun. We were talking about PimCon. Rankings.io is a fantastic sponsor of the show, and PimCon, and we didn't get to meet, but how'd that go for you, that PimCon?
Honestly, Steve, it went better than I could have imagined. I knew that the opportunity was huge. I'm a young lawyer. We're a young firm. I saw folks like you and your peers on the stage, and I said, these are, icons of the industry, like heavy hitters in their markets and throughout the country. The fact they asked me to be on stage, I was honored. And then I gave it everything I had in preparing
Yeah,
because I knew that if the opportunity hit, who knows what kind of doors it can open.
yeah.
And it's just a good example of, look, it started because I took a cold email and I actually responded to it. And that's how the ball got rolling to open the door to Chris and the
Right.
rankings team. And so it's crazy.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, and I mean, the Nikki Glazier is their keynote, basically like ragging on attorneys for about 10 minutes straight. I thought that was like the most uncomfortable and also the hardest I've laughed
Right.
at the
Yeah, we're
same
giving the
time.
material, right, Steve? We give
What
her
was
plenty of
that?
material. We give her plenty of material to
Oh, well,
go with.
I thought you were saying I gave her the material. I wish I
No,
was
no,
that good
no.
of a writer. Um, really fun. And then, you and I were kind of talking about, living down in New Orleans, and I've got half my family down there in the Madisonville area near you. And the last time I went down there, it's like, what time's dinner? 7 o'clock. And I show up at seven because I'm a good soldier. And they hadn't thought about dinner. And then at 8 o'clock, we're at the grocery. At 9 o'clock, they're cooking dinner. All right, you following along with what I'm saying here? I'm losing my mind as a part of this experiment of having dinner with my lovely family down there. Um, but anyway, it's just the most wonderful place. If again, I think if you can get into it, right?
To embrace it. It's so funny. I'll tell you two things. I just was having this conversation with my wife. I'm sitting at lunch with my two little girls, and I'm talking to them about like where we going for dinner. And that's like a very typical New Orleans thing, right? People come to visit and you're eating a great lunch, but all you're
Yeah,
thinking about is where's our dinner reservation, even though the
yeah.
thing in
I
front of you
was
is
gonna say that's
amazing.
like a Jewish thing. Like that's what
Well,
I'm thinking at
that
lunch is,
too.
honey, what are we doing for dinner? Like let's start planning ahead.
Right, that too. But I said to you offline, I said, if New Orleans fits you, you become unfit to live anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
good.
I know, like the first couple days I'm down there, my wife and I are looking at each other like this would be so wonderful to live down here. And I think 3 to 4 days and we're like, Chicago's kind of calling us back and we gotta,
The
we
thing
gotta
that's
get,
good
we
for
gotta get
you.
out of here. We gotta escape the asylum or something.
Well, we were in Scottsdale and I said, "Oh, this is beautiful. I could definitely like get a place out here." And
Yeah.
then I realized that the times I want to get out of New Orleans, I also want to get out of Scottsdale. So Chicago and New Orleans would work quite well. Spend your
Yeah.
summers in Chicago, your winters in New Orleans,
That
like
might
not
be that
bad.
might be the play. Listen, that's the beauty of being not retired, but like getting up in the ages is like you start thinking about how you're gonna do this and that and the other. My wife's retiring from teaching in this year and then 2 more years with full like tenure. So like and I'm virtual, so like that's not off the table, but we will see. We will see. All right, we've digressed a little here in getting into the show. All right, let's talk a little bit about the quote of the show. Now, normally people send me a quote from some philosopher or some famous person, and this you sent it to me from the Wonder Years, which I immediately thought was the TV show, but it's not. It's a Philadelphia pop punk band, and the quote is, "We put our faith in you. You turned a profit." Which sort of summarizes like everything going on in our world right now, which is leading to bad news. But welcome to the show again, Lee, and tell everybody why that quote. It's kind of a unique quote.
Yeah, so I grew up in Jersey. I was a pop punk emo kid from my teenage years were in the 2000s. I would take the train down from New York to Philadelphia and back and forth and see this kind of music. And this band kind of grew up the same age as me, and they're still putting out music. So all their evolution and their growth tracks mine. Right now, they're singing about their kids and what it's like to be a grown up, and before they were singing about probably drinking in basements and bar scenes and things like that. But this comes from one of their songs, and they're talking about like taking care of people
Yeah,
and what corporations and even America as a whole has evolved into being, right? Of course, we're a capitalist society and everyone runs businesses to make a profit. But some of these institutions that we know are for profit, but we think are out there to protect us or at least help us in some way. And then all the time, like we put our faith in them and they turn a profit, meaning
Right.
they don't try to take care of us.
No,
Uh,
no.
Insurance companies, healthcare providers, like you name it.
Yeah.
And the stories are endless.
I mean, one of my favorite movies is The Rainmaker, that John Grisham movie, and I think it's I'm trying to remember the director of that, but it was not Scorsese, it was the other guy. But really, really good. And but like yeah, the insurance company screwing the policy owner and not paying out when someone gets sick. I mean, it's across the board, and it's obviously it's just insane. But um, but so let's flip the script a little bit, and we'll get into like some positive stuff about making a profit and building a law practice you can be proud of, and how you really help people. You can make money and be amazing at what you do, and be saving people's lives as you do. And I don't know that I do, but I'm definitely helping them turn a profit to pay for health care for their families and such.
Sure.
Um,
But
yeah,
Steve, when I think about it, is that the best thing about being a plaintiff personal injury lawyer, right, is that you can do well by doing good for somebody else because your interests are aligned in that way.
yeah,
And so that's always something that bothered me about being on the insurance defense side, because I was for a long time. And you would work your tail off, you do a great job, and then they'd look your bill and run it through whatever system they have and say, "Oh, we want to cut this. This took too long." I said, "Didn't they just deliver the exact result you wanted? That's what you hired me for. If we're not aligned and you don't trust that my judgment is in your best interest, why are you sending me work?"
yep.
So
Everybody, you're checking out Lee Rudin, owner of Rudin Law, and give us your a little flavor of your background. Obviously, young, aggressive, hungry, PI attorney. I mean, take us down the road that you went down.
I'll do the quick 1,000 foot view,
I
right?
say
Came
Reader's
to
Digest, and then people go,
Reader's
"What's that?"
Digest. Right. I used to do that too, and I got that same feedback.
Yeah,
I'm originally from New Jersey, came down to Tulane at the age of 18, stayed straight through to Tulane Law. Same thing I said before. I just kept thinking if I go back to the Northeast, I'm never getting out, and I couldn't think of a reason to leave. I just like it here. It fits me. So I've stayed. This city's full of transplants, but also full of people that were born and raised and would never leave. And so it's a fun place to be.
yeah,
I went to law school at Tulane thinking I was going to be a sports agent like Jerry Maguire, which is one of my favorite movies growing up, and ended up deciding that I should probably learn to be a lawyer first. I got a job with a guy who was a transplant from the Northeast, just like me. He was a trial lawyer on both sides, we did all sorts of stuff. So in some insurance defense, corporate defense, toxic tort, real estate, plaintiff side work. So I got exposed to a ton of things. And then as my practice grew and as I moved to a couple different firms, the majority of my work was in injury work, mostly on the defense side, insurance defense stuff with car accidents, slip and falls, that kind of thing. And I began to organically grow an injury practice on the plaintiff side just by helping people. It started with my cleaning lady, and it was some guys that I knew who were complaining to our mutual barber about how they'd been scorned on the employment side. And after a while, that practice organically grew. And my last firm made me the offer I had to refuse. They said, "Lee, like you're doing quite well, but we want to claw back some money. We want to limit the cases you're bringing in. And also, this is a defense practice and you're building a plaintiff practice within it.
yeah,
That's not
yeah.
really the idea." So I said, I got to go. And that was it. That
Marching
was
to your
it.
own drummer, right? I mean, there's a lot. It's almost like I'm hearing it every day. Bad firm cultures, closed comp plans, and giving lots and lots of attorneys reasons to want to go out on their own or change firms. And I don't want to say it at the highest level maybe that I've ever seen, but being in the industry for 18 years now, it's like almost every day I'm hearing and talking with clients that are telling me like these stories, and so but it's scary to go out on one's own. Not everybody either feels like an entrepreneur or feels like they know like what does it mean to be an entrepreneur, or that it's really right for them. How do you look at opening up your own place, you're hanging your own shingle? Like, what were your concerns, and what were things that you realized maybe weren't so challenging?
I think that all of the concerns that people have are valid in the sense that there's so many components to a business that you didn't learn about. You
Hmm.
never got trained on. You never learned about it in law school. You probably didn't learn about it at the firms you were at. I happen to take a shine to some of the operations stuff at various firms. I always wanted to know where was the money going because if at the end of the year you were going to tell me there wasn't money for bonuses, for discretionary bonuses, I wanted to know where it was going because I'm watching my numbers and I see what I'm doing for you. The question is, how are you misspending it? And
Yeah.
it's so
Are
funny.
you a
So
lawyer or a detective? That's what I want to know.
yeah, I was doing a little bit of scrutinization, but it was funny. I talked to a couple managing partners recently, last two firms that I stayed close with, and I said I have a new appreciation for the term cash flow. You
Yeah.
would say it to me, and I now understand it. That's something we talked about offline, like building a big firm.
Yeah.
That's big expenses, and if the money's not there yet, someone's got to pay them. The payroll doesn't stop, the rent doesn't stop, the
Yeah.
case
Yeah.
expenses don't stop.
Right. I mean, coming up as an entrepreneur and coming up in business, the other saying that people have heard is cash is king. And like you need to have cash. And so I always feel for people who are living check to check or that don't have 50, $100,000 like sitting in an account. But the goal that I try to help people with when they start their own firm, develop enough business so that you pay all your bills, you have every process set up and operation, everything set up, but you've got 50, $100,000 sitting in an account that you can invest and reinvest. And I'm not saying that's easy. And I'm not trying to like downplay how hard it is to start your own thing, but I think that's when I knew as an entrepreneur that I was okay. When I was paying all my bills and I had that like sack of money sitting in the bank that I knew, would protect me. Hey, everybody, do you ever wonder why top executives and athletes are so successful? It's typically because they have a coach, someone that is looking at them from the outside to identify their gaps, identify their potential. That's what I do. I'm Steve Fretzin, and I'm here to help you be that lawyer. If you're interested in a free consultation, click the link below and we'll get together and we'll identify where you can make improvements to be that lawyer.
We call it the oh shit or the oh fuck money, right? Like, oh God, this didn't come in the way I wanted it to, or it came in on a lag and now I got to move money over just to cover the bill, whatever
Yeah,
that bill
yeah,
might be. It's not, you're not worried that the money isn't there. It's just not there right now.
right, right.
I just had this conversation with my pre-lit team. I said, guys, you don't understand how important you are. You keep the bills getting paid by the cases you move. The lit cases, we know they're going to take a long time. If you're not functioning and moving the pieces along the board, we do have a problem paying certain bills,
Yeah,
at least in the way I want to do it.
right, right. So then what would you say to someone who is unhappy at their firm, big law, mid-market, doesn't matter, and is thinking about opening up their own law firm? Like what's your advice that you provide on, when someone asks you?
Yeah, I've done it a lot. And the first thing I tell people is figure out how long you can go without taking a penny.
Okay.
I tell people it's probably 120 days at the earliest before you're going to see a dime if you're in a more traditional practice, right? So let's say you're an insurance or an hourly client that isn't going to pay you a retainer. If you bill the work that you do on day one, you're billing it on day 31, and maybe you don't get paid till day 60 or day 90. Okay, so that's the first money you're seeing. I had clients when we came out, I was a hybrid firm to start that billed quarterly. So you might bill on day 90 and not get paid till day 120.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with a plaintiff injury practice. If you get a client on day one, they're not done treating maybe for 90 days. By the time your demand goes out, the response, the checks in the house, you deal with your liens, you're at 120 days. So can you and your family survive that? That's money coming in. Then it's what do I need to put out to begin to build that flow of new cases, new clients? Because we market, at least in my personal injury space, you can market a lot.
Yeah.
And so you have to decide what kind of appetite do you have to go get those cases, get those clients to begin the flow of
Right.
work moving down the line.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it also helps if you are leaving with some clients, right? I mean, if you can bring, 100, 200, 300, 400,000 with you, do that. And the
Sure.
other piece of it is it used to be you needed to have an office and an expensive website, and you needed all this overhead. And I feel like never in history has there been an easier time to get into starting your own gig. Not trying to play it off that's easy. It's not, but it's never been easier. Agree?
Great. Steve, I started in my bedroom, in a bedroom at my house, right? I joked at PimCon I was the butcher, baker, candlestick maker. Like
Yeah,
I knew the guys at the FedEx because I was there all the time, like
yeah,
dropping that thing in the mail, dropping that thing in the mail. Then I added the local paralegal. And then what I think people really should be looking at, if you're going out on your own, look at technology, see how you can leverage it, right? With AI and even just like more, I'm not even gonna call it AI, but like the very typical doc generation you can do that's rinse and repeat. I've got a couple
yeah,
cool tools that aren't AI. They're just very simple tools that you can use that will make you more efficient because your time is all you have. And then I went and hired a bunch of folks offshore to start because they're high quality talent. They are relatively inexpensive compared to an American, and you could have many bodies for the price of one
yeah,
domestic worker. So there
yeah.
was a lot of value to me.
Okay. Yep. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. So then what should someone be afraid of? Like what are the mistakes that can be made, or what are the things that people come in and they don't understand that but they should?
Yeah. So I'm advertising injury lawyer, right? I'm all for it. I don't care what people think about how I do it or what I do, but I thought about it this way. If you're in business, what business would you ever start where you don't tell anybody what you do? And if you're good, you should want to tell everybody because if you don't tell them who you are, they're going to hire someone who's not good, who is telling them who they
Right.
are.
Yeah.
And that's, when I was on the defense side, obviously the marketing is different. It's not as typical, but you got to be out there shaking hands, kissing babies, asking for help
Yeah.
because people are more generous than you would think. So don't be afraid to go out there and, say, hey, I'm looking for work. I'd love to partner with you. Do you have anything you're not working on? You'd be surprised how many people are willing to, bring you on because you're a good lawyer. You just don't have the cases yet.
Yeah. Okay. If you're a rainmaker and you're feeling like you're on an island, you don't have anyone to share your ideas with, solve problems with, you're going to want to check out my Rainmaker roundtables. Click the link below and learn more. Got it. Got it. Got it. So all right, so that's fine. But then you're in you're in there, and then it's into your point, like people need to know about you. So I'm like I like marketing and branding, and I like business development. I lean towards business development because that's my space. I'm not an agency. I'm not rankings. I'm not trying to be any of that. Um, but I think both are important. How do you build business? What's your share with everybody listening of how you're doing it?
Yeah. So my my mantra was praying for a referral is not a business plan.
Fair
So
enough.
like what folks are like, hey, we're a referral business. I'm like, well, how do you go make sure those referrals are recurring? Because having a random client send you somebody is not a plan. So I've got a decent mix. We're nothing is traditional. So we're in digital, we're in social media, we're doing SEO, which we're very far behind in the race just because of how young we are. But we're running some ads on Meta, so Facebook and Instagram. We're doing stuff on YouTube, kind of just trying to get out to the consumer in a similar way to TV, but in a much more cost-effective way. We do a lot of grassroots stuff. So I sponsor the local independent pro wrestling promotion
Yep.
because I thought it aligned with my brand. I thought it would be a good opportunity for hand-to-hand combat. I could meet people, they could get to know me, they would hopefully like me,
Yeah.
and then hire me because I'm affiliated with this thing that they love. And I think that's something that anybody can do. And then I create as much fun merch as I can, like stuff like this, and I
Yeah.
try to give it out.
It says stop being polite.
Right. The front says stop being polite. The back says get rude. Those are my two trademarked
Yeah. Leveraging the
slogans.
name. I love it.
Leveraging the name. And again, this is something, if you said to me, Steve, Lee, I love that shirt, I would respond to you, okay, give me your size, give me your address, and I'll send it to you. We have a,
Okay. I'm saying that let's do a shirt swap because I've got the Be That Lawyer podcast t-shirts. I'll send you
all
one of
right,
those and we'll
you
swap them.
got
We'll
it.
do a t-shirt
I,
swap.
I have a free, on my website on getrude.com, I have a free store. You pay the shipping and you can pick out there's
Oh,
six
really?
shirts.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
because
Okay.
I figured if people want to wear my merch, like that is
What
the
free
cheapest
advertising? I mean,
advertising.
very inexpensive advertising, right?
Right? How many leads could you develop for 10 bucks a lead, 11
Yeah.
bucks a lead? Like
Yeah.
never.
No.
And I just think it's a cool thing to do. And if I see people, which we do, like at all these different events and they're wearing our gear, I'm like, that's how cool is that?
Yeah. So
How
people
cool is that?
have a name like Rudin and can say, stop being polite, get rude. I don't leverage my name necessarily externally, but Fretzin, I do Fretz introductions and I do Fretzinators for my clients and little silly things I do mostly internally. Someone that doesn't have a name that's workable like that, what are your thoughts on how they build a brand? Are there other elements that could go into it?
Well, this is what I said at PimCon because I thought about this because it's not, I was lucky that my name worked in the space that we're in, right?
Hmm.
Like Get Rude might not work if I was a trust and estate lawyer,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't have the same panache. But look, you can do it based upon how you look, who you are, right? Your personality
Yeah.
type.
Yeah.
You can do it based upon something you love to do. Like there's folks around the country that have branded based upon hobbies they have. Or like there's a guy out of Texas who's called the attorney that rocks. There's a guy out of Michigan called the skateboard lawyer. It's different. And the key to all of it is being different so that you can be memorable. Because if you're the same guy, I mean, I'm a white male. Like there's a lot of us in this lawyer space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why pick me over somebody else? You got to give them a reason. And like my angle being kind of the tough, rough, aggressive angle. There's guys that do that too, right? There's the hammer and the strong arm, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's exactly unique, but it's unique in my own way.
Right.
And then you can always just make it up, right? There's great brands around the country that are just made up names that they think sound good, and it's
Yeah.
just a matter of
Yeah.
pounding that name into people's head.
Yeah. Yep. Sweet James comes to mind. I interviewed their COO and we're just talking about like, well, everybody called him Sweet James. And so, all right, let's just name the firm Sweet James. And it
Yeah,
works and they leverage
great.
the junk out of it. For B2B attorneys and folks that aren't in a space where you can get crazy and aggressive and fun, a professional in estate planning or in M&A or whatever, I would just offer to consider a differentiator of a specific experience that you have or a life experience or just something you do better, faster, stronger than other people. Maybe ask your clients what makes me unique in this space and get some feedback. I'll give a quick example. Greg, if you're listening, you know who you are. Intellectual property attorney, but he worked for the patent office. So, what makes him unique? Well, not only am I a patent attorney, but I worked in the patent office for many years. I know exactly how to get things done because I worked, to stop people from getting things done. And I know how to, circumvent well, who wouldn't want that, right? Who wouldn't want someone that knows the internal workings of a place that could stop your patent from going through? So just talk with your clients, but think creatively. And I think you'll come up with something that you can leverage.
And if you're sitting on the other side of this listening, don't think it's easy. When I've been probed, what's your unique selling proposition? I don't know. Like it takes a while to stew over it. That's why asking somebody else, hey, why did you pick me over the other guy? And you'll get some pretty good
Yeah,
feedback. You put
yeah.
all those words together, and all of a sudden that salad becomes something you might actually want to eat.
Right, right. I love that. I love that. So then what's like a strategy that you'd suggest a law firm looking to grow, keeping in mind we've got, PI and we've got every other practice area represented here, but is there one thing that you would routinely go to suggest to attorneys looking for advice?
Yeah, well, I think that the thing we talked about before, right? Technology, offshore staff, it just adds an element of being able to be bigger than you might be on your own or that your
Hmm.
finances might allow you to be. And we have a guy in house that he serves as a paralegal for us, but he's a lawyer in Pakistan. He's brilliant. He just isn't licensed here. So we're
Yeah,
getting this great brain power out of somebody who just happens not to be domestic. And if you care about people and you care about doing right by people that are your clients or people that you work for, go hire somebody who isn't in the US and give them a bonus that is relatively comparable to your folks in the US and then see how much you've changed their life. When I did it last year and I got tears from one and speechless from the other because they just had no expectation of that.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Being generous is it's sort of like not it's not done as often as it should be. I think, generosity and charity, um, it's just becoming more and more challenging for people to do it. But I think it's an important part of how we, show appreciation, or how we get more out of people, or how we, help people in their lives, because we're very, uh, we've got a lot going for us, right? I mean, it could be where we live and in our careers and all this stuff, and people just don't always have it as great as we. So why aren't we sharing the wealth?
There's a saying, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but like people don't remember what you say, they remember how you make them
Yeah,
feel.
you're right, right.
And there's some of that where you can do something for somebody and it's going to be the indelible mark that you didn't intend it to solicit a client. You didn't intend it for any reason besides you were just trying to do the right thing for somebody,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's going to pay you back in spades. You don't know it yet, but you do enough of it, put it out in the world, like it's going to come back to you.
Are you ever curious what's really holding you back in business development? Sometimes it's hard to see the label from the inside of the bottle. I'm Steve Fretzin, and I can help you grow your book of business. Get a 30-minute free consultation with me. We'll identify gaps, identify your potential, and let's take it to the next level so you can be that lawyer. Click the link below for a free consultation. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, let's wrap up with what we love to call Lee's big mistake. What's going on, Lee?
Yeah, so you asked me this before we came online, and I was thinking, you know, I when I went to law school, I went right from Tulane undergrad to Tulane law, and I had a bunch of friends that were doing a victory lap. And I thought that I was going to come out of Tulane, like kick butt in undergrad, and I was going to walk into law school and behave the same way and get my, become top 10% and make the law review and all that. And I did not.
Mm.
I underestimated the people around me. They were telling me, "Oh, I'm not studying for this. I'm not doing that." And all of a sudden, like they were in the library and I wasn't. And my first year grades reflected that.
Yeah, yeah,
But, in the end, if that had been the case and I had done what I would have been capable of had I actually focused on it, I probably am not here. I'm not in New Orleans. I'm not running my own firm. I'm probably not. I might not even be a lawyer because I might have gone to one of those white shoe firms in New York and given my pound of flesh and made a bunch of money, but hated being a lawyer.
hmm,
And it ended up working out for me because I stayed here. I met my wife here. I got a job that I learned really well how to be a lawyer and what it's like, what the practice is like.
yeah,
And I love it. I love doing what I do. My practice has evolved in a way. So, that I can help people and I really get some gratification beyond the monetary side of it. So, two things to take away from it, right? Things are going to happen to you in life, and it's just a matter of how you respond
hmm,
because you can't control the stuff that's already happened. You just got to figure out how to roll with it and make the best of it. And, looking back, you might see something that might have been your worst day and you realize, no, that was a blessing in disguise.
yeah. We need to have a worse day, and we need to have lots of worse days. And so, and I was saying to someone earlier today, I mentioned this maybe too many times, but like, you know, I've got a teenager now. My teenager is interesting because he's at Colorado State. Um, he only learns from making mistakes. He can't learn by me telling him something or sharing something with him that might be really brilliant. Not that that happens all the time, but let's say hypothetically, I say something to him about living his life in a way, healthier or better, smarter. Maybe using your calendar to remember when your classes are. I mean, we're going deep
Sure.
now.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
And but he misses a midterm and has to email the teacher to apologize and slept through or whatever. And like that's the only way it works for him. It's got to be, punched in the face 3 times, or maybe I'll duck the fourth. Like that's and so, we can't clear out all that for people because that's the only way that some people learn, and it's the way most people learn actually. Um, so
What's good on you, Steve, is that a lot of parents, like they try to protect their kids from those things.
yeah.
But coming to the
Well, I hog tie
realization,
my wife because she's the one that's going to try to save him. I'm going to
right.
screw him.
Some sometimes people have to save themselves so they can
Yeah.
learn. Not
Yeah.
that you want it to happen to them because you don't, but
Yeah. And I
that's
explain
life.
I explain to my wife all the time, like this, like he needs to go through this pain. He needs to go through these challenges and get turned down or rejected or not get the job or whatever. That's all character building. And I think adults, we know this, right? We're living life and we're getting punched in the head all the time. Um, but anyway, but that's how we become who we become, right? I mean,
Right.
it's it's heaven and hell, or angels and demons, right? You can't have one without the other because what would be the point?
I said I let my hair grow a little longer than it usually is, and now it's getting gray. And I was like, I earned these. I don't want to color them. I earned these.
Yeah.
So
And you know what? Eventually you end up like this, and your wife looks at you and goes, "Oh, my, what they
silver
call silver
fox,
fox."
Steve.
Yeah,
There
silver
you
fox.
go.
Right.
See?
Yeah. And like, okay. Um, well, listen, Lee, this has been an absolute pleasure. So much fun, and I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and helping lawyers who need to think differently about the way they're going to, market themselves, or the confidence to start a firm, and just so many wonderful things that you were sharing today that was very generous with your time and meeting with me and doing this. So thank you so much.
Stephen, I appreciate you having me. And people were so kind with me when I came out,
Yeah.
generous of their time, their resources. And if there's any way I can help your listeners or anybody else, hit me up.
Well, if they want, so how
Getrude.com.
do they hit you up? What are the digits? How do they say, what's your
Yeah.
website if they want free merch?
So getrude.com, the button's in the top right hand corner. Phone number 833 Get Rude. You can find us on social at Get Rude Law. We try to idiot proof it. So you can find us if you're looking.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, well, let's take a moment, thank our wonderful sponsors. Of course, as we talked about PIMCon, of course, Rankings.io, just unbelievable for PI firms. Check them out online. Law Her Podcast, amazing. Legal Verse Media, of course. And our newest sponsor, Hire Paralegals. So check them out. Elevate your legal projects by engaging with exceptional talent that will align perfectly with your requirements. So check them out, everybody, at hireparalegals.com. Thanks, Lee, man. This was so much fun. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Steve. Likewise.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. I don't know if this was 25 minutes or 35 minutes. I lost track. But really, really wonderful stuff. And you guys, go back and listen to some of the older episodes. We're on like 550 or whatever we are, but a lot of great stuff you can pick up. We had John Morgan to my late great Larry the lawyer Fretzin at episode 200, and John Morgan at 500, and a ton of other great legal experts that you can learn a lot from. And also, don't be afraid to check out my newest podcast. That I totally forgot the name of. No, it's called Future Rainmakers, everybody. So again, if you're looking to up your game, I'm giving direct advice to help you be that lawyer. So thanks, everybody. Take care, be well, be safe. We'll talk again soon.